Hello, everyone, and welcome into Inside the Smoky Mountain Conference presented by Team FYN Sports. Jake West joined by Brandon Stevens. Brandon, we are heading into week 8 of the Smoky Mountain Conference football season. We'll take a quick look around at the standings of our 1A, 2A Smoky Mountain Conference teams. Robbinsville 3-0 in conference, 5-2 overall. 197 points scored, 128 points allowed. Murphy 2-0 in conference, 4-2 overall, 201 points scored, only 98 points allowed. They're the only team in the conference that has allowed less than 100 points to this date. But Robbinsville and Hayesville and some of the others have played another game without having their bye. Hayesville 2-1 in conference. 5-2 overall, 198 points scored, 161 points allowed. Swain County 1-1 in conference, lost last week to Robbinsville in that thriller at the buzzer. 3-3 overall, 166 points scored, 116 points allowed. Cherokee 1-2, 2-5 overall, 149 points scored, 195 points allowed. Andrews 0-2 in conference, 0-6 overall, 28 points scored, 265 points allowed. Rosman 0-3. 2-5 overall, 288 points scored, 272 points allowed. So Robbinsville and Murphy, the 1-2 in the conference, are set to play this Friday night on FYN TV. Also, another big matchup, Hayesville and Swain, 3-4, are set to play this Friday night. And then Andrews and Rosman, one of them is going to pick up their first conference win this Friday night. So we have 3 very good football games on the docket.
I'd agree. Some of these, I mean, wherever you go, whether you're going to be in Andrews or you're going to be in Hayesville or Murphy, you're going to see some good football because all these teams in their own way, they're showing competitive nature. I mean, I'm always looking at some folks who may not get as much attention, like Trey Graves out at Hayesville. One of the conference leaders for rushing. Want to see a little more out of him. But then also Swain County making its a little burst back and really doing well, rebuilding on this season compared to last season. Then, the two leading teams right now, Murphy and Robbinsville, always a competitive bunch. So it comes down to do you rush, do you pass? What kind of options do you have, RPO? And been in some tight football games for Robbinsville, not so much for Murphy, but we'll see what breaks out there. And then Andrews and Rosman looking for that first conference win. So and really trying to get themselves, both teams, build up and doing it right in their own way, or really having some challenges. But I think that's going to be one of the more competitive games. Cherokee, obviously, this week open. It's the Cherokee Indian Fair, or some of us come to know it the Fall Festival. And I think the coaches there over time have just said, that's our open week. And a lot of the players go out and play, whether you're old school like me, it's called Cherokee stickball or Indian ball, as it's come to be known. And so their own competitive little ways. So, yeah, you're right. This one is good, and I'm also looking to see, in some of these games, along with the rushing and the passing. And speaking of Cherokee, Dawson Panther still doing some pretty good things. They're leading, I believe, the conference in passing with almost 1,000 yards. But also, I look to see how important some of these special teams are, and how they're putting it through the uprights or they're getting their punts off. It's this is shaping up to be some exciting football.
So one last tidbit on Cherokee before we move on to Andrews and Rosman, since Cherokee's on a bye. We did see Jonathan Saylor take almost all of the snaps at quarterback last week, and it's been Dawson Panther. Saylor played well at quarterback. He had a high completion percentage. But it's been Dawson Panther. As you said, he's the leading passer in the conference. Do you have any insight as to why it was Saylor instead of Panther Friday night? Maybe somebody was banged up, or maybe they wanted a different look.
not on this end. Kind of like you, is like, all right, Sailor, Panther. Of course, we knew that option is there, but no real insight to why that took place. But just looking at the loss to Hayesville that they suffered 28-37. That one I don't know. Sorry.
All right, moving on this week. Andrews was on a bye last week. Rosman faced Murphy. I think that was 71-0 Murphy's homecoming. But Andrews and Rosman line up, shaping up to be a very good football game between these two teams.
Well, they've both been shut out, and is where do you wake up in the Smoky Mountain Conference? And this is it. Both teams in the basement of the Smoky Mountain Conference, and who's going to come out with the win, and possibility that both these teams will be or one of these teams will eventually cross over. Like my money is let me back into it backwards. My money's more on Rosman for this one. They've won a couple of games. It was not the greatest game, obviously. When you look at that Murphy game, when there were upwards of like 50 points almost scored in the first quarter. Murphy didn't almost scored every touch, and they were also in the backfield. And there was maybe 33, 35 positive yards of offense for Rosman. It was not obviously the best of nights, but also Andrews has had the same problems. I think some of the things that really come down because we can go through it and we can tell you how Brady McClellan is doing and how some of these other guys are really working their way through the ranks, but I think this is going to be competitive. They're both extremely young football teams, a little inexperienced, but obviously here, whoever can come through with that combination of best defense, if you control line of scrimmage, because both these teams have not shown the pass all that well. So how well are you going to run, control the line of scrimmage, keep the runner, and then obviously in offense, some of the best execution. In the Andrews Murphy game, the quarterback there had trouble all night trying to make things happen, threw 2 interceptions, and with games like that you can't make mistakes. I think that's the same here.
You talking about Swain and Andrews?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about Rosman and Murphy. Sorry, got sidetracked. But yeah, Rosman having some trouble there with getting through and getting their passes executed. Andrews, by the way, just in that one, 56. Their last game, 56-0 loss to Robbinsville. Just having some of the similar troubles playing those top 2 teams in the conference.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. What you got a score prediction?
Sure, I'm saying 14-0 Rosman in this one.
Yeah, I think it is going to be pretty low scoring. I think Andrews is Andrews is very beat up right now.
Right.
They're. I had a lot of faith in them to start the year, and then things happen with very small teams like Andrews. They get beat up. Brady hasn't been able to play a lot of quarterback. They've had Logan Schuler have to be back there. They've had some linemen miss time. So I think it is where I think we do see Rosman get their first win in the Smoky Mountain Conference. I think you're pretty close on your score prediction there. I don't think there's going to be a ton of points scored, maybe 21-7 or something like that.
Yeah, either way, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm thinking that this might be the one that Rosman has a little bit better game, and like you say, that part of the injuries that are in Andrews that comes into play. Long road trip for Rosman, maybe, but I think Rosman will be ready to play and ready to make up some things because it really didn't look good in the Murphy game, and so they're ready. I think they'll be ready to play.
Swain and Hayesville. Hayesville coming off a win versus Cherokee. That game was tight until it wasn't, and then Hayesville was able to pull away. They ride Trey Graves, but McGaha had a the best game of his career at quarterback. Threw for 2 touchdowns. So they're getting something going through the air. Coming off a big win versus Cherokee. Swain's coming off an emotional loss versus Robbinsville. How do you see that one playing?
Really, I think comes down to a couple of key pieces here. Can you keep some pressure on quarterbacks? This one where you really have some two pretty good quarterbacks that like you say McGaha who just doing things well. Little back and forth. Andrew Cody has been doing quite well for Swain County. I think put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Get into the backfield. This is going to be a physical football game. Both of them bring little smash mouth. I don't know if one team in Smoky Mountain Conferences doesn't, but again, control your line of scrimmage. If you're a Swain, you've got to you got to lay out some of the bigger runners there, but you've got to get pressure to Trey Graves. I mean, he's leading the conference in rushing. If you can shut him down, that the line form around and get Smiley and some of the other guys, Skaggs, to step up from Swain to put some put him down. That's going to be the big key because that's where most of the offense is derived is from his running 9 yards per carry. I mean, that's almost a first down every time he touches the football. So all eyes on Trey Graves if you're Swain County. Otherwise, there's a lot of options. Swain County posting, whether it's Andrew Cody at quarterback, Zeke Gillespie carrying the football, Silas Stanberry or Corey Stillwell receiving, and bigger team. I think after coming through this game with Robbinsville, because some people I think go back and look and say, well, what was it? Mountain Heritage handily defeated Robbinsville, and then Robbinsville comes through with a 2-point win over Mountain Heritage. Maybe a bad night, or maybe some improvement with the team. And so I think some people were marking that as a barometer that Swain County would upend Robbinsville. So no, that didn't exactly happen. But control line of scrimmage. You've got to have. I think one of the keys to pulling away is on either side is one of the quarterbacks going to have a good passing night. But with this one said, traveling to Hayesville. Swain County 28-24 over Hayesville.
Yeah, this feels like a game Swain County should win, but I don't know. It just depends on how your team stays together after you play 4 quarters, fight hard, you play a game, you turn the ball over a few times. It could have went either way Friday night against Robbinsville. How do you respond as a team to a loss like that? Because you're playing a Hayesville team that's got something going right now. They've figured some things out. So it just depends on how do you come out Friday night on the road after that loss against Robbinsville.
Yeah, it's you're coming out of also Swain County for the past few years, whether it's been in regular season or a later round of the state playoffs. The Swain County has had some trouble getting through Robbinsville. Now, why is that important? Because that's really an emotional, confidence, spiritual type loss that you lose there. But And you really can't look and say, well, Hayesville's been a weaker team in the Smoky Mountain Conference, and that should be a W playing there in Hayesville. And I haven't heard anything that where someone that's on first string that's been banged up, not going to be playing, quarterback's out, or a running back's been hurt, or the line so injuries. Nothing that's impeding Swain County at this particular point. And I think you make a valid point. I think, you better come out fired up and ready to play and put the Robbinsville game behind you. And because Hayesville's got a little bit of a head of steam after winning over Cherokee, and like you say, that was a tough first half, but Hayesville, and really it was Hayesville in that football game didn't exactly step out of the second half and blow Cherokee's doors off. It was only into the fourth quarter where things came alive and Hayesville put up the winning numbers.
So our game of the week, Friday, Murphy and Robbinsville. It'll be live on FYN TV. We will do we'll do our game preview for that, Brandon, at 7:00 Friday before kickoff. But we will look at the Massey ratings. The projections for the game are 24-14 Murphy over Robbinsville, with this game being at home. Like I said, we'll get into it Friday night before the show. But anything you want to say to this game doesn't need hype up, but anything you want to say to anyone interested in doesn't know where they want to go Friday night?
I'd definitely be in Murphy to watch the Murphy-Robbinsville game, and you will know that it's going to be packed for that one. I shouldn't see an empty seat in the house unless it rains, but sunshine is the forecast for the rest of the week. Yeah. So it's going to be good. I think, number one, Massey rating versus what I was going to say. I was going to say Murphy 24, Robbinsville 17 in this football game. The big guys like Isaac Collins, to Cameron Allison, the leading rushers and receivers respectively. Murphy, on the other hand, they played Rosman, not exactly the toughest team in the Smoky Mountain Conference, but that was such a wild game to play where you saw anybody from Blake Davis run a touchdown, ran a couple conversions. Ryan Payne returns a punt for a touchdown. Really, in that one, Rosman did everything that it could to give opportunity to Murphy. A couple of fumbles that turned into touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. And it was when you have at least 4 turnovers, not necessarily turnover on downs, because they punted, you really minimize your chances of winning a football game. But almost every time you touch football, Murphy's scoring again. Payne has another touchdown. Way Heron, we get into the second and third stringers. David Rochester. I'm just mentioning some folks just to give them a little credit and give them a little sunshine. But Trenton Cook doing well. I like the defense. A few times, Janthony and Brody and Landon. Those are the guys in the trenches, getting into the backfield. They did a great job pressuring Rosman, quarterback Zeke Gainey, and really too many times they were almost going to come up negative yards at the first half, but got a few things moving out. There were here's the real trivial type thing in that football game. It was only down to about 3 minutes left in the game. We see the first down. And what is that? So Murphy didn't need a first down. In a lot of cases, it was either returning a touch ball on punt for a touchdown like Ryan Payne, or it was first play, straight to the end zone. And we didn't get off of Rosman's side of the football field for several minutes. It was maybe late in the first half before anybody crosses over the 50-yard line. And also Rosman got when we started pulling out, and it was one of the first times too that Murphy pulls out the first string anything defense offense after the first period. Usually, like the history, Coach Gentry wouldn't do that until second half, and then the second stringers go in. But Coach Watson says, "All you first stringers out," and so it was good to see that exercise of football. Now let me get to the point. Also, Robbinsville. I think the win over Swain, tough one. You claw and bite your way out of that one. The cool thing is, I believe, slow start to the beginning of the football game, and with things going, what was it, 13-0 or 13-7 at the halftime, with Swain County leading, but then Robbinsville comes through. I like the even distribution of the scoring. There were, still some of the guys doing well. I go back, and not because we'll talk more about this, like you say, on Friday night, but I think the edge goes to Murphy 24-17 is my prediction.
Yeah, Robbinsville's game against Swain, they were down 13-0, I think, and then they scored. They got the ball back with a minute left before half, and they scored. So going into half, it was 13-7. Then they put up 13 points in the third quarter, and then obviously the Xander Luck-Savage field goal in the fourth quarter to win it. But a couple things to point out and talk about. For Robbinsville, Luke Lovin threw the ball 28 times. He had 200 yards, 200 yards.
There you go.
They had 2 touchdowns he had a touchdown on the ground. Isaac Collins had another touchdown. Eli Lambert had a receiving touchdown. The sophomore caught 3 passes for 54 yards. Tucker Jones, 5 catches for 37 yards. They're getting some guys involved in the passing game. These sophomores, Eli Lambert, Benton Gibby, and junior Tucker Jones, those are some underclassmen that they're really going to be contributors coming down the line for Robbinsville. Another sophomore, Samuel Wachacha, had 2 interceptions, flipped the field for the Black Knights. And then, like we said, freshman Xander Luck-Savage hits ice in his veins, hits that game-winning field goal. I think it was like 28 yards or something like that. But yeah, it's shaping up to be another great football game. I think in the last 20 meetings between these two teams, the season, you want to take a guess what the record is in the last 20 seasons? Not 20 seasons, but the last 20 meetings.
Go ahead. What?
It's 10-10. Murphy's 110. Robbinsville's 110. It's perfect 500 over the last 20 matchups. It's always a real fun game in my house, as my wife graduated from Robbinsville, so she'll be watching with her black and white on. But tune in Friday 7:00 on FYNTV.com. We'll get deeper into this game, give out some predictions, and we will hear from the coaches of the 2 respective teams. But if you can't be there, if you can be there though, please go. Pack that field, show these kids some support. If you can't be there, will be your option to watch. But Brandon, anything else you want to say?
Now, again, back to it's like capping it back off and recapping what we started out saying. I think regardless of where you go, this is going to be some fun and exciting football. It's same folks in the conference, but where the records are, who's going to step ahead, either in the bottom of the conference rankings or the top of the conference rankings. Now that we're cleaning out all the bye weeks on schedules and getting people even back up to see how things will work out. This is fun, and really, to tell you the truth, we're not that far away from talking about playoffs and that.
Yeah.
sort of thing. So it's that's the other thing that's bearing down on folks. But now have fun and go cheer on your Smoky Mountain Conference teams, because it's going to be some fun football on this Friday night.
For sure, Brandon. Thank you for joining us. This has been Inside the Smoky Mountain Conference, presented by Team FYN Sports.